BMW M2 versus the Porsche 718 GT4 versus Lotus Emira V6. In a poll I launched in the Instagram stories, the 51% of you, around 1,000 people, voted for the 718, the 28% of you, around 500 people, for the Emira, and the 21%, around 450 people, for the BMW M2. But which one of the three should you buy? Main specs and performance figures. The BMW M2 is the smallest M Divisions model, but is said to be one of the most exciting to drive. It comes with the 3-liter BMW S58 straight-six engine of the M3 and M4, rated at 460 horsepower, at 6,200 RPM and 550 Nm of torque. It revs up to 7,200 RPM. The G87 M2 gets a 6-speed manual or an 8-speed automatic. Top speed is still limited to 155 mph but can be extended to 177 with the optional M-Race track package. We'll talk more about this package later on in the video. 0-62 mph acceleration times are 4.3 seconds for manual and 4.1 seconds for automatic transmission models. The curb weight will be of 710 kilos in the manual option, 15 kilos more for the automatic. The G87 M2 is 4.57 meters long and 1.4 meter tall, 1.89 meter wide, the same width of the M4 competition. It gets a rear-wheel drive traction and a starting price of $63,000, but if you want to load it up with options, you're looking at a price tag closer to $80,000. The carbon fiber package, for example, costs almost $10,000. Price gets firmly in the M4 territory, which is bigger, more powerful and faster. Yet, the M2 will also be the more fun track car. As standard, the M2 comes fitted with 19-inch front and 20-inch rear lightweight alloy wheels, but it can be upgraded with 1-inch larger rims on each axle. M Performance adds carbon fiber front splitter and air intake trim, side skirts attachments, side spots and mirror caps. At back, rear lip spoiler, rear diffuser. The titanium M Performance silencer system reduces the weight and gives a distinct racing car acoustics. Tailpipe trims are in carbon fiber titanium. The 20 and 21-inch forged wheels in jet black matte get a center lock in racing style. Completing an aggressive look are a carbon fiber rear spoiler and a roof edge spoiler in high gloss black. The Porsche 718 GT4 contains most of a 991.2 911 GT3 chassis and brakes, but with a mid-engine layout rather than a rear one. The engine is the 9A2 Evo unit 4-liter box 6-cylinder with 420 horsepower, 420 Nm of torque, and it spins up to 8,000 RPM. The transmissions are a 6-speed manual or a dual-clutch PDK option. Top speed is of 188 mph. 0-62 mph covered in 4.2 seconds or 3.7 with the PDK. Carb weight starting at 1,451 kilos, 30 kilos more for the PDK. Dimensions are 4.46 meter long, 1.27 meter tall, and 1.99 meter wide. A rear-wheel drive traction and a price starting at about $100,000. A bit more of the $88,000 needed to buy the 718 GTS. There are many differences between the two, and to just name a few, the engine is 20 horsepower less powerful, topping at 400 horsepower. The suspension in the 718 Cayman GT4 is also significantly different. It gets a more sophisticated setup with spring struts and partial ball joints. You can also adjust the toy, the camber, and anti-roll bars, dynamic gearbox mounts, and helper springs on the rear axle, and much more. In simple words, the GT4 is more track-oriented than the GTS, and once you're spending almost $90,000, adding about 10-15 is definitely worth it. The Lotus Emira V6 is the British alternative to the 718 and an important car for the relaunch of Lotus. They also recently added the Elettra to its portfolio, the all-electric SUV that reaches over 900 horsepower. In its V6 first edition, the Emira gets the Toyota 2GR FE 3.5-liter supercharged V6 engine with 400 horsepower, 430 Nm of torque, and it spins up to 6,800 RPM. There are a 6-speed manual and a 6-speed automatic gearbox. Top speed is of 180 mph, and the 0-62 is covered in 4.3 seconds for the manual option. Curb weight is of 1,486 kilos. Length is 4.41 meter, height 1.22, and width 1.89 meter. There's the rear-wheel drive traction, and the price is starting at about $94,000. If you like these comparisons, make sure to subscribe to the channel. There are polls and comparisons posts of sports cars all the way up to hypercars daily in the community tab of Cars Reports. Should you buy it or not, the M2 has evolved a lot. It now gets the M4 S58 engine with 2 monoscroll turbochargers, supplying compressed air to the combustion chambers. Other elements of the M-twin power turbo technology are high precision injection, which works with maximum pressure of 350 bar. The chassis features additional torsional bracing, there's an M-active differential, adaptive suspensions and 10 levels of traction control adjustability. The various drive modes available include a track settings that allows all driver assistance to be deactivated. The weight distribution is about 48 to 52. BMW has fitted manual versions with a gear shift assistant that can rev match for you when you shift down. The looks depends on your personal taste. The GT4 comes with a Porsche torque vectoring with mechanical limited slip differential, adapted dampers, helper springs on the rear axle, and a ride height that is 30mm lower than a standard 718 Cayman. The front axle and all brakes are adopted from the 2018 911 GT3. In the engine, the injections of the direct fuel injection system are controlled by piezo elements. As a result, the fuel is finally atomized with a maximum fuel pressure of 200 bar. The 718 Cayman GT4 has set a new fastest lap on the Nordschleife at the Nürburgring. Its lap time of 7 minutes 28 seconds on the legendary 20.6 km racetrack was 12 seconds quicker than the time set by its predecessor, quicker even than the time achieved by the Carrera GT supercar when it was launched. Emira is based on a bonded extruded aluminum chassis technology. It now features a cabin that's full of contemporary tech, featuring Apple CarPlay and Android Auto integration, a KEF stereo and a 1025-inch touchscreen. There are 2 chassis options. By choosing between the Tour and Sport chassis, you get either a softer setup for the road or a firmer one more suited for trips to track days, and a limited slip differential. The Tour version is still great on track though, and choosing it means it better copes with bumps on the everyday roads. Both feature fixed rates for springs and dampers, with the switch in driver modes adjusting throttle and steering response only. Weight distribution is of almost 39 to 61 front to rear, more than a 911 GT3. So, should you buy it or not? The 718 GT4, I would say yes, as it's the more refined and track-tuned of the lot. The Emira and the M2 depends more on the personal taste, but are still valid alternatives that can be used in the everyday commute and on weekends on tracks. This is my personal idea, but I want to know what you think. Let me know in the comment section below.